My guest is Josua Botha. He is a home education alumnus and student at Tuks. Joshua, what are you studying and how did you decide on your course?
I'm studying computer science like you said, University of Pretoria. Deciding on what to study, I thought was going to be really hard. But because I did Lego robotics while I was at school, while I was learning from home, I did that and realized that I like this actually more than I would have suspected, because I'm also a lot into languages and I wrote poetry and did all kinds of things like that. So it seemed like being a geek wasn't what I would be. And my cousin studied computer science and I talked with him about it. And then I realized, I could do this. You can apply it in lots of fields. Program systems is used in many, many industries. So I could still satisfy that wider interest I have while doing something that I can actually become professional at and make a living.
There are many articles in the media, and one myth doing the round is that home education does not prepare a learner for the fourth industrial revolution. What is your opinion?
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that sounds rather absurd to me. The fourth industrial revolution, as I would summarize it, industries previously had people working, but now can be replaced by software and be augmented by software, and living in that kind of world, the power of the software, not the hardware, that adds as much. And that's what sort of the revolution is. Like the industrial revolution was, the first industrial revolution was sort of machines augmenting human physical labor, whereas the fourth industrial revolution is software augmenting mental capacity. So that's basically the revolution. And what prepares you in what would probably prepare you the best for that is the capacity to learn new things, because the things that humans can still do a lot better than machines has a lot to do with not necessarily creativity, but human interaction and having the capacity to change and to do a new thing and to do things for human beings, to know human beings well. And so preparing people for the fourth industrial revolution isn't going to be letting them read on their tablet, which is currently, I've heard some of the people's plan to prepare school kids for industrial revolution is let them do their schoolwork on tablets. That's nothing to do with solving it. What has to do with solving it is being able to see value in things and to actually have a good relationship with people, because the world is in the end made up of people, not machines, and we just use machines. Versatility is probably the best preparation, I would say, and home education makes people versatile.
Varsity was surely a new experience. What was it like transitioning from home education to tertiary education?
Okay, so when I did my matric, I did a little bit of tutoring. So once a week, I got tutoring in a small class. So we were about six kids, just to have some extra help. But it's almost like a small lecture. And then during the week, you worked on your own. That was the sort of assistance I decided to get on that level. Before that, everything was basically by myself. But to me, university felt exactly like that. It felt like I was just having lectures every day. To me, it didn't feel very different to anything I've done before. I actually adapted. Yeah, it was easier than I expected. I've heard many horror stories of how difficult university is, and I was pleasantly surprised.
The media is buzzing with school-related articles, and home education is a hot topic at the moment, as many people are not familiar with this alternative means of education. Joe Public is familiar with a school day that starts at 8 o'clock and finishes up at 2. The day is structured with subjects, bells, and 2 breaks. So what did your average day or week look like? How were you educated?
So it depended on the phase of my life. So when I first did poetry, or first started really writing poetry, I didn't understand it like my mom was trying to teach it to me. And when I first snapped it, how it really worked and what was going on, I really enjoyed it. And I did like whole days basically only focusing on that and playing around with it. And when I did robotics, for a very large period of my life, I spent entire days, entire weeks almost exclusively doing that. So it really depends on what phase of my life I was in. And for another phase, when I was about 13, I spent lots of days basically learning to build things. I was learning to weld and doing stuff like that. So it really does depend on what time it was. But to give a very sort of general idea of the most normal period of time would be, you'd wake up, first, do your things that have to happen every day. So that would have been mathematics. I had to do math every day, and I had to do some writing every day. So you try to do that as early as possible usually. But once that's done, it would be whatever the thing was we were doing then. Maybe it was robotics, maybe it was building some stuff, learning to weld, or maybe it was writing poetry. So that's sort of the structure. In the early morning, you do the things that is non-negotiable. You have to do these things because they're the very fundamentals of formal education. Had to do it for the rest of the day, well, whatever I was doing at that period of my life.
So how would you describe this style of education?
Natural and in-depth, so sort of immersive. That's how I would describe it. I would describe it as a good balance between learning the things everyone has to know. Everyone should know how to count and to read, to just be able to live in our society. That's sort of required. So that's the formal part of it. You just have to do it. Everyone does that. And then, because it would be so stupid if the whole world, everyone just knew exactly the same things, we wouldn't be able to help each other and learn from each other, because there's so much knowledge in the world and each human being can only contain so much of it. So if each person just contained the same little bit of information, every human being on the earth, we wouldn't be able to help each other that much. So the first part is what everyone needs to know, that small sliver, and then the rest is whatever really interests you and what you have an inkling for, going into that, which allows you to sort of be of the maximum help to others and to learn the most from others, because they also have a chance to go into something that is their forte.
And finally, what do you think are the benefits and the challenges of being home educated?
So let's begin with the challenges. The challenges are that you have to go through the trouble, and actually it's not as easy or natural, or you have to actually make friends. You have to go and visit friends. You have to actually make trouble to be able to do sports. I wrestled for the Tux Wrestling Club, but I played rugby when I was younger, but I couldn't play tennis competitively because you have to be in a school to play tennis. But I could wrestle competitively. So these kind of interactions that is very necessary for you to do sometimes is a bit harder, but it's only a little bit. But the problem is that if you have to take the trouble, and that's also the benefit, because that's how the real world works. You have to actually go out there and engage. So you have to, that's a plus. But because it's takes a little bit of effort, you could think of it as a negative. But it is important for you to do things outside of just schooling, and you have to go through the trouble of doing that. But that's a good thing in my opinion. But the main plus, I would say, is what I said previously, is it allows you to focus on things which not everyone knows. It allows you to actually learn things that you want to know, that you're passionate about, and to go deeper than just a normal course would allow you, because you have the time. Because you can be, if you can finish your math quickly that you have to do, and if you can finish your reading quickly, you've got a whole day open and you can do whatever you want. And it's fascinating how much more efficient it is than the schooling system. This is what my friends who were in school told me. They basically said they could do all the work they could in any case do in a school day, and then half of the day has been done. If you work hard and you focus, you can finish all those things, and then it's done. And then you have time. And I think I would not have been able to do the robotics the way I did, and I would not have been able to work hard enough at it and play around enough with it to actually compete well enough to go internationally, and to know that I would want to do computer science, because it's sort of far away from the first impression you would get from me as a very verbal person, and most computer scientists are very introverted and things like that. So,
Josua, thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all the best with your studies.